and begin the recording here. So you should be getting a notification that that's happening. And just once again, for everybody, my name is Lauren Perez. I work in the Office of Environmental Justice for the San Diego Air Pollution Control District. Thanks so much for everybody joining us tonight for the February meeting of the International Border Community Steering Committee. We have a full schedule tonight. So let me go ahead and share the agenda with everybody. Be doing our welcome and updates. Then we'll have a presentation from the City of San Diego and their tree planting program and updates on that program. I know they've joined us back in May, I think, in person, and have joined us again. And now they're going to be doing some more updates on the tree planting, which is exciting. And we'll have Olivia on in a minute. Then we have an air purifiers program, the aire program. Anita Lopez is here. She'll be sharing about that. She's with the Air Pollution Control District in San Diego. And then we'll be having a presentation on participatory budgeting, the participatory budgeting process and incentive funding from Kevin here on our incentives team. And then we'll have time for public comments. So anything that's not on the agenda, people will have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes to share, and our closing remarks and adjourning. So without any further ado, thanks everybody for joining us. So glad you could be here. I'm going to actually go ahead and see if Olivia, maybe if you're ready to do the presentation, I can share the screen for you if you are able to. I see you. Yay. If you want to unmute.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. And so feel free to just tell me when to click ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
So my name is Olivia Maybe. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist with the Urban Forestry Program. We've presented to you guys a couple of times about our Trees for Communities project, and we wanted to come back today with some exciting updates. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of background for anybody who isn't aware of the Trees for Communities project. This was the result of a 2022 settlement with the Air Pollution Control District. It created a $4.6 million multi-year tree planting project to plant new trees and expand and create new tree wells. And in addition to planting those new trees, we are watering the trees for 3 years. And San Ysidro was identified as one of our priority areas. Next slide. So right now with the tree planting in total through priority area 1, 2, and 3, we've planted 1,800 trees, and we've planted 119 trees in San Ysidro so far in available planting space that wouldn't need buy-in from the resident. We just wrapped up a partnership with Casa Familiar. They helped us canvass homes that have public right-of-ways that extend into their front yard. So we were asking those residents to opt in for a tree, and they canvassed 585 homes. Out of that, just over 47% said yes, 27% said no, and just over 25% were a maybe or not home. We also have a free tree stewardship workshop coming up next Saturday, March 1st, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's a free event for residents, and it's a really great opportunity to come and talk with the city about the project, but also to learn about the trees and how to care for them. And that will be at San Ysidro Civic Center. I will drop a link in the chat to register. Translation services will be available if you need it. Just please be sure to register so we know how many to account for. Next slide. So although we are doing markouts now, there is still time to opt in for a tree. So if you were maybe one of those not home or maybe residents, you can still opt in. Just go to sandiego.gov/trees for communities. And that contact form will go straight to me. And yeah, just let us know. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime to us. Next slide. Thank you. Another really exciting thing that we just launched is a tree benefits map. So this includes trees that are currently in San Ysidro, along with our priority area 1 and 3 trees. So it's existing trees and newly planted trees. When you click on this, you can search an address on here and it will tell you the tree that is in front of that home, and it will also share the benefits of that tree and assign a dollar value of savings. So you can access that via sandiego.gov/trees for communities, and you would select interactive project web map, or you can scan the QR code. I will also drop the handouts in the chat. Next slide. And then just happening next door in Otay Mesa, Nestor West is Ready, Set, Grow San Diego. That is a $10 million grant from the U.S. Forest Service. This project will plant over 5,000 new trees and protect 600 trees through sidewalk repairs. They are currently in the mark out phase. So if you have any questions about that project, you can reach out to me directly and I would forward that to that team, or you could visit sandiego.gov/ready-set-grow-SD, and I'll drop that link in the chat. And I think next slide, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. Yeah, are there any questions? Anybody? Yeah. Ramon, did you raise your hand or?
Yeah, just Olivia, I saw that you're working with Casa Familiar. You guys have a partnership. I'm wondering if you were partnering up with programs that are working with high school students or even middle school students, whether it's in the South Bay near the River Valley or actually in the River Valley.
So for Trees for Communities, we haven't done any partnerships with high schools. I know that for Ready, Set, Grow, they are working to have some planting events with high schools. So if you do have anything in mind, where we could plant in the public right of way near these high schools, we could certainly explore planting trees and doing an event for those high school students. I'll drop my information in the chat. Just feel free to send me an email.
Yeah, I definitely will. And just we do have access to a group of students that are more than happy to like get engaged and do some restoration work. But they're also super active when it comes to the Tijuana River Valley, and they become like teenage advocates for that. So I'm just wondering if we can align forces on some level. So
Yeah,
thank you
definitely.
so much.
Thank you.
And then I see a question from Maria Cervantes. I believe it's can I order a tree to plant in a pot? Is that correct in the chat there?
Can you drop your email in the chat, or just send it to Lauren and I can get in touch with you on that?
Yeah, I can definitely put you in touch with Maria.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. All right, any more questions? Just want to give it a second. I'm not seeing any in the chat. Okay, we've got one more.
Hi, I have a question. My name is Lourdes Galicia. You mentioned that they're going to be taking care of the watering to the trees for 3 years, correct? And after that, are they going to be taking care of the trees without, I don't mind watering the trees, but if they have to be trimmed, because I'm a senior and it's going to be hard for me to be taking care of the tree. Would that be continuing after the 3 years, or just the water is the one that is going to stop?
That's a great question. Thank you. So the watering is the only thing that will stop after 3 years. From there, it is a city asset, a city tree, which means we would maintain that tree. However, we do ask to work with the community in partnership, and that means submitting a get it done request. So if you see something that's wrong with the tree or you have any concerns, you would just submit a get it done, and an arborist would go out to evaluate and determine next best action.
Like, for instance, the roots, start, growing more than we were expecting, and it will damage the sidewalks or something like that. That's when I go to get it done and send a notice there or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because when they came to ask if I was interested, I wasn't home. So
Oh, okay.
I am interested in that. So I have to go and register then.
Yeah, so or maybe Lauren can put us in touch later. And if you have any specific questions on the trees, I'm happy to put you in touch with an arborist and we can work together on selecting a good species for
Sure.
your home.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And then I see another question here. I think it's Margarita is asking about told I didn't qualify for a tree because I have a fence on my house. Is that correct? And I'm not quite sure if I said that correct. Yeah.
It is possible. We do need to be able to have access to water the tree. But we can get in touch later. I would just need to know your address and look into the specific reason why.
And then I see
Gracias.
Kevin, you have a hand raised? Kevin Peck?
Yeah. Hi, Olivia. I'm going to present in a few minutes here on incentive funding, but just while you're here, I just want to note that one of the eligible categories for funding is urban greening, tree planting, vegetative barriers, and such. So, potentially we could partner up in the future for some of these projects. I just wanted to make sure to mention that in case you had to drop off after your presentation.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I dropped my email in the chat, so feel free to just connect with me via email and we can explore options.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Perdón, ¿podría repetirme la respuesta? Es que la oí muy lejos y no sé si oí bien, por favor.
David, were you able to catch that? I'm sorry, Margaret, can you
Yes, so Margarita asked if you could repeat the response because she couldn't hear the first time.
Oh, yes, this was in regards to the tree and the fence. I just
Correct.
would need your specific address so I can look into the reason why we would have denied. It is possible that we can't plant there due to a fence just because we need access to water the trees. So yeah, just we'll get in touch with your address and let you know the exact reason.
Ok, ¿quiere que ponga la dirección aquí en el chat? ¿O se lo mando a alguien por email?
I can connect Margaret, I can connect you and Olivia. So no need to put it in the chat if you
Ok,
don't want to.
gracias.
Okay. And then is there any more questions about the cheese program? No, okay. And then I did also want to give thank you so much, Olivia, and I'll be following up with you. We'll be in contact with all the folks for follow-up information.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I did just want to pause for a minute. I got so excited about the trees update that I jumped right in without offering any time for updates to if any of our partner organizations or any other community-based organizations have any updates, any government agencies or anybody on board that has a general update for the community. You can share it now if you want to raise your hand, or you can just come off mute. And then we'll have time at the end for just general community updates as well. But for any of our partner organizations or or agencies. Now is the time. Just a second. Okay. Not seeing anybody. Okay. We just want to pause for anybody that might just need that extra second. Okay. So with that, we will go to Anita Lopez, who has an update on the air purifier program, the aire program. So thank you. Thanks for being here, Anita. Let me go ahead and get your slides going and just tell me when to move along.
Buenas tardes. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Perfect. My name's Anita Lopez, and I am working here at the San Diego Air Pollution Control District, and we've been really busy getting our air improvement and relief effort, aire, program going. And we recently launched. So if you don't mind, Lauren, moving forward to the next slide. So many of you have been probably received a presentation and possibly an air purifier at one of the steering committee meetings back in November. So since that time, we've taken what we've learned from distributing to you, and we've also held a few events in community, and we were able to really align all of our efforts and launch publicly this just last week. So just as a reminder, this program is particularly for portable home purifier units to be provided to communities that are affected by the odors caused by the Tijuana River Valley sewage crisis. So it is a very specific area that qualifies individuals to receive. You can see here on...
1 second, Anita. I'm sorry. I'm seeing in the chat, people are saying they're not hearing the Spanish translation, I
I
think.
can wait. Yeah.
Thank you. Are people able to hear? Is it back on, or are they still not hearing? Can anybody share?
Sí,
Sí.
yo sí escucho la
Okay.
traducción muy bien.
Yo también.
Okay.
Sí lo escucho también.
Okay.
Sí, se escucha muy
Wonderful.
bien.
Okay, good. Okay, just wanted to make
Sí.
sure. Thank you.
Maybe,
Thanks,
maybe
everybody.
Lauren, maybe selecting the correct interpretation channel is what needs to be.
Okay, I will message them. Yeah, if you can go down at the bottom of the screen, there's the 3 button with the more, and interpretation, it should be an option there. And then you pick the language you prefer. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, looks like we're back on. Thank you, Anita. Thanks, everybody.
No problem. So many of you may remember that we did distribute air filters to the steering committee. And as a reminder, this is specifically for those that have been affected by the odors caused by the Tijuana River Valley sewage crisis. So we are accepting applications from communities in these particular zip codes. Zip code 91932, which is Imperial Beach. Communities of Otay Mesa West. So that would be west of the 805. Communities in San Isidro, Edgar Highlands, Nestor, in the Tijuana River Valley, all qualify. If an individual is living on the east side of 805 or north of Palm Avenue, right at the bottom of the Otay Valley Regional Park, they would be outside of our boundaries currently. So we do encourage individuals to check their eligibility, and I will go through that process with you now. Next slide, please. So the first criteria is to be within those communities. Other criterias and rules around the program is that it is 1 purifier unit per household. And we are prioritizing households with children and seniors and those living closest to the source, which is near the river. And the newest requirement that is not relevant for the steering committee, but is for anybody applying now, is that they must apply online. Thank you, Lauren. And so everyone must submit their application online, but we do have assistance available for those that may require some technological support. Next slide, please. So on February 12th, we were able to launch publicly our program. And now that means that the filters.sdapcd.org, that link is now live. And so anyone that clicks on that link, it'll take them directly to the application. Our goal is to distribute up to 10,000 air purifier units to these eligible residences. And the newest update is that instead of having to come pick it up, you can have it sent directly to your home by selecting Deliver to My Home button. We will still have some events, but those are going to be very limited, and we don't currently have any dates for those. Since we started distributing, actually since November, we've distributed over 300 so far. So that 10,000 is now 9,700 and some odd. We have not delivered any since we launched last week, but we have received several applications, which I'll go over shortly. Next slide, please. So to date, we've received 1,547 applications. We've primarily from the 92154 area code, as you can see, and the next would be the 91932, which is Imperial Beach. 92173 was San Isidro area. Received 13% of all of our applications come from that area. I would like to call your attention to the language of the applications. Our application is available in multiple languages, which I will go over. But please note that we're getting primarily English applications. So we are encouraging those that know about the program to share the word. We'd really appreciate it because we know that there's a lot more community, particularly the Spanish-speaking community, who would be interested and would like to apply. Next slide. So this is the information. We have very specific phone lines and emails to get in touch with us. We also have some flyers available, which I will be sure to attach and send out, attached to the chat, and I'll also send it to Lauren. We encourage everyone to share this information widely because we are hoping to be able to distribute all of the 10,000 purifiers as soon as possible. So as I mentioned, our application is now open. So it's really important for us to share that this is a multilingual application. When you go into the app, it may show up as English. You will need to select the language drop-down menu, and you can move it into the language of your preference. It is available in all 5 threshold languages, in Spanish, in English, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Arabic. If there's another language issue, then they can certainly email us and we will have to find out how we can best support those individuals. And so when someone wants to apply, the easiest thing to do is to hit the Aplica Ahora or Apply Now button. And that will take you directly into the application. I'll go ahead and take a pause there and answer any questions that are coming up. Ramon, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anita. This is great information, and I'm just thinking about the filters that you've been able to distribute in comparison to how many you still have left, and the communities that definitely need this. And so I'm wondering is how we can support you in distributing those filters. And what comes to mind quickly is one, partnering with the South Bay Union School District, with the San Isidro School District, and the San Isidro Health Center, because those are the three main hubs that are going to be able to reach all the families that have kids, but also especially the elderly that mostly go there to the San Isidro Health Clinic. So we definitely have a strong partnership with the South Bay Union School District, and I could support you with that, and probably also with the San Isidro Health Center, but not with the school district. So that if there's anyone on the call that can support with that, so that we can get these filters out to the community as soon as possible, that would be great because
Yeah, we absolutely need all the help in at least sharing the information right now. We are in contact with the South Bay Unified School District, so we just have not sent the the flyers or anything to them yet. We're going to do that this week or early next week, so that they can send that. We are in contact with the Sweetwater Union School District for those like Southwest High. We could probably leverage their platform, and San Isidro School District. We are in contact, and in fact, we may be hosting an event there in the coming months as well. But it certainly doesn't stop us from sharing. I think that there's some other CBOs in the area that are serving, and we would welcome sharing that information. I see a message in here that said, can I share the link? Absolutely. Please share this information widely. What will happen when the applications that were pending since December, will those be processed? Yes, absolutely. So I would like to move on to the next slides, and then I will go ahead and talk about sort of status updates and the next steps. So one of the things that we have been able to upload onto our website is a tutorial. I don't know, Lauren, are you able to play the video? Because this should be a video, and usually there's like a little.
Oh, let's see.
No.
No, I'm sorry. Is there a specific trigger for it or on here?
When I see it, I have like a play button. It should be a video, but I put the link, the Spanish link in the chat. So
okay.
anyone can see it now, and we don't necessarily have to go over it, but I do want to call your attention to how very specific this application is. So this is probably the most important information I can share with you, is that each section is its own fill-in space. And it's important that they are separate. So notice in this example, it has the street number. It's just the number, no street. The next one is a direction. It's north, south, east, west, if that's part of the address. That's separate from the actual street name. And so it's really important that each of these are filled out correctly and separately, because if it's wrong, it'll either say not an eligible address, and it'll require you to join the interest list, even though you may live in the qualified space. We're seeing that is the biggest problem with a lot of people who live in the area that are applying. They are putting Rimby Boulevard in the same space and then selecting Boulevard. So it says Rimby Boulevard, and our system does not recognize that. It says, oh, that's wrong. So we have to correct it, and it takes us longer. So if you know somebody or you would like to help them fill out the application, please share that information with them. Once that information is in there, it will give you a green checkbox that says verified. It will tell you it's a valid address, and you will need to proceed with the rest of the application. And If you're able to watch the video, you'll see later on down, you'll need to upload some documents. You need to upload at least like a statement with the exact name of the individual applying with the address. And that's how we're verifying that you are able to receive a filter. If those documents are not able to be uploaded, then we have to reach out to you and have you email those to us. That takes a little bit more time. So the more complete the application is, the quicker it will be for us to send a filter unit to the individual that's applying. Next slide, Lauren. So, and then the other thing that I'd like to point out is on our website, there are frequently asked questions. And if you're having any trouble with the application, I encourage everyone to go to the frequently asked questions section, where it will answer many of the questions that you're interested in finding. If the question isn't there, then we recommend emailing us at filters, and we'll put that information in the chat as well as it's on these slides. You can also apply directly from the website. So the filters is the direct application. If you want more information, you can go directly to the website and apply there as well. So I'll pause and answer any other questions that individuals have. Maybe just about the application process. I see there was a question about the make and model. Thank you for putting the information in there. These are going to be from Oronzi. They are the Mod Juniors. We do have a link on our website that allows you to check out how to set up your air filter. So once somebody does receive that, they're able to look it up and see how to set it up. We also can put a link on the FAQs that link you to the Oronzi website, and you can contact them with other questions about the equipment. And so I see one question here is, when are we going to review the applications? We are currently doing that now. So we have over 1,500 applications that we're reviewing. And what we're reviewing for are the documents and making sure that they are correct. And so we're redoing those now. For those that applied in 2024, so we partnered with a few sites to have a very small distribution. It was posted on Nextdoor, and many people applied that we weren't quite ready for those applications because we still needed to make some of the changes I mentioned earlier. So what wasn't on the application at that time were your documents and the way that you would like to receive the unit, because we've added some new features. So for all the 2024 individuals that applied, they will be getting an email in the next few weeks requesting that information from them. And we will need them to respond to us quickly, right? We're hoping that individuals can get back to us within a 2-week time period. And that will move their application. Once they receive that information, that will help move their application to the next step. There are several applications that may not be moved to the next step if they don't meet a certain priority. If there are not seniors, if there's no children in the home, and they're further away from the website, from the odor site. So what that means is we will need to prioritize those that we receive with the highest priority, and they will wait on the wait list until we're able to serve more people on the wait list. We don't necessarily know when that will be because this program will be running for several months. So that's a quick answer to say the 2024 applications will be reviewed in the next coming weeks. It will take us a good 3 to 4 weeks for us to get a handle on most application and the reviewing process. So we're just asking everyone to give us 6 weeks before once they apply, and before they get their application reviewed. The 2024 applicants are waiting a little longer because we have to communicate with them and wait to get all the appropriate documents. Other questions? Next slide. So if this is showing well on your screen, you can use this QR code to go directly to the application. You can also email us with any questions that you may have at filters@sdapcd.org. Or you can leave us a voicemail message at 586-2779, area code 858. And we check those regularly. We check our email regularly. And it will take us probably a couple days to respond to most of your inquiries. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions or hear any recommendations that you may have for us to reach a wider community.
Thank you, Anita. Yes.
Welcome.
Any questions, you're welcome to just unmute yourself or raise your hand, or throw them in the chat, whatever works best. Okay. Looks like I don't see any questions popping up. So you can always reach out after the meeting to any of us as well. If anything comes to mind, feel free. But we greatly appreciate your support and sharing out about this program. So thank you. And thank you, Anita. Really appreciate you giving us an update. And Anita just upped her email into the chat there. So you're, oh, you know what? It's directly to me.
Oh, I changed it too.
Yeah.
I will ask that if your question is about the status of a filter, please email filters@sdapcd.org. If the question is about partnerships and sharing information and moving the program forward, please feel free to email me directly.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I see it. Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And so now we are going to move on to our incentives program with Kevin Bradley. Kevin is able to join us.
Thank you, Lauren. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Bradley. I supervise the grants and incentives team here at the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. You may remember I gave a presentation about participatory budgeting last month, I believe. And so I'll touch on that a little bit today in this presentation, but mainly I'm going to be talking about the different programs and funding that we have for projects that we're going to open up for applications in the next month or two. Next slide, please. So my presentation today will cover the available funding that we have and what those programs are and the types of projects that we can cover with the funding, as well as the types of applicants that we can accept for the funding projects. And finally, I'll talk a little bit about the priorities that we have for this round of funding and what some of the restrictions are on what we're able to do, where we're targeting the funding, things like that. Next slide, please. So we're expecting about a little over $20 million in funding for this year's solicitation. That's going to be across a few different programs, including the Moyer program, which is targeted at a few different things, but especially diesel equipment. The Community Air Protection Program, also known as CAP or AB617. And that's probably one most people are a little more familiar with. For example, that's how we started this steering committee. And also the Goods Movement Emission Reduction Program, or GMERP. GMERP's a little bit of an older program that we have some leftover funds from, but it's targeted at goods movement, obviously, in the name, and being that there's so much commerce and goods moving to and from Mexico across the border, it seemed like it might be a good program to mention in this presentation as well. Next slide, please. So the types of projects that we typically fund fall into some sort of broad categories that I'll talk about here. We have on-road heavy-duty vehicle replacement. Obviously, that little icon is a truck, so we can do medium and heavy-duty trucks, but we can also do school buses through this category, which is something I wanted to specifically mention. We can also do off-road types of vehicles. That can be construction vehicles. That could be things like forklifts or bulldozers or what have you. The agricultural equipment can be, we do marine equipment. I don't know how applicable that is for the border region, but there's all sorts of different random vehicles that fall into the off-road category. There's also opportunities for zero emission charging and fueling infrastructure. So what I mean by that are, of course, electric charging stations for trucks, for cars, etc. Also, hydrogen fueling can be eligible as well. Urban greening and vegetative barriers, or put more simply, tree planting. Obviously, we had a great presentation from Olivia earlier. And so that's another category that we can fund. And then school and community center facilities and sort of facility improvements. So for example, we can work with schools to retrofit their heating and air conditioning systems with air filtration, which essentially just prevents air pollution that's outside from entering the school building. Another sort of example of school and other facilities, we can do furniture replacements. There are old furniture types that were made that include chemicals that are being phased out, and so we can help replace some of those old types of desks and cabinets and things like that with new furniture. And so those are kind of some broader categories, but what's really nice about AB617 funding in particular is that if we can connect the project to one of the goals in the Community Emission Reduction Program, or the CERP, that really helps us sort of make sure that the project is eligible. Or a better way of phrasing that would be, if it's connected to a CERP goal, it's very, very likely to be eligible, and we can convince the state that yes, this is a good project for us to fund. So if you're familiar with the CERP that the OEJ team put together over the past couple of years, and all the different strategies in there, those are some other ways that can get you thinking about projects that might work for us to fund. Next slide, please. So eligible applicants, it's actually pretty broad. There's not a lot of restrictions here. It does depend a little bit on the project type. Obviously, the more school-focused projects, we're going to want to contract with the schools or the school districts themselves. But really, in general, companies, community-based organizations like Casa Familiar, schools and school districts, public agencies like Port of San Diego or SANDAG or City of San Diego, or individuals. All of these are different eligible applicants, and this is not an exhaustive list. So if you're wondering about eligibility, I'll say this again and again through this presentation, please do not hesitate to reach out. We have a dedicated email address that I'll put on the screen at the end, and we're really trying to get the word out that we have funding available, and we want to have a lot of different projects and applicants so we can get that money out into the community where it belongs, what its goal is for. Next slide, please. So I mentioned participatory budgeting at the beginning of the presentation, and this is kind of a continuation of a conversation we had last month where we surveyed the community members here in the steering committee and asked what some of the priorities would be for funding. And so what we gathered from those surveys is that zero emission transportation and infrastructure, sidewalk and bike path additions or improvements, and school flag programs were some sort of broad categories that people were in favor of putting high on the priority list as we're deciding which projects to fund. So zero emission transportation and infrastructure, that's a picture of a school bus there, but like I said, we can do medium and heavy duty trucks. So that's the other potential eligible category. And then, yeah, sidewalk and bike path improvements, school flag programs to help students and faculty and staff and the surrounding community know what the air quality is on a given day based on the color of the flag that's raised. So these are all options that we can certainly help fund through AB 617 or Moira funding. Next slide, please. So similarly from that same conversation, these are project types that are a little bit outside of at least historically the norm, but certainly not uneligible. These are other things that we could potentially fund. So traffic route signages, such as guiding trucks away from sensitive receptors, like schools, like senior centers, community centers, parks, things like that. Transit passes was something that the steering committee expressed interest in, and e-cargo bikes. So really, I'm just reiterating sort of what was told to us when we talked about this last month, and just getting people's kind of brains moving about what types of projects they might be interested in applying for funding for. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that there's some sort of restrictions around the funding, and so essentially the Moira program and the AB 617 program want to target their funding towards disadvantaged communities. So at least 50% of Moira funding has to go to disadvantaged communities, and at least 70% of AB 617 funding has to go to disadvantaged communities. Our goal is to spend 100% of our AB 617 funding this year on international border, portside, and the other identified disadvantaged communities in the county. What would stop us from getting to that goal is if we don't have enough projects to spend all of that money. So that's why we're doing these presentations, is to really get the word out, like I said, to have people, if they have a project idea, to reach out, to apply, to try to get funding for that project. Because like I said, our goal is to spend 100% of our AB 617 funding in these disadvantaged communities. The amount of funding that any individual given project gets depends on several different factors. A few of them I have here on the screen. The funding source of the program. So the Moira program might fund a type of project a certain percentage, where AB 617 funds it at a different percentage. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that myself and my team does to basically match different project types with the right type of program, so that we sort of try to take that work out of everybody else's hands. We do that on our end, try to keep it easier on the applicants, so you don't have to know the ins and outs of all these fairly complicated program requirements. But yeah, funding source will dictate the amount of funding, the project type, of course, and we weigh cost effectiveness as we're ranking these as well. So essentially, the amount of pollution reduced per dollar spent is sort of a metric that we have that we use to decide which projects to place at the top of our priority list. And then, of course, available funds. We can't spend more money than we're given by the state, so obviously that's going to impact that as well. Next slide, please. I want to take a quick moment to mention that, the emphasis of this presentation is the funding that we have at APCD, but there are other funding sources and grants that are available. Two of them I threw up on this slide just to have them, because the deadlines are approaching next week on the 28th. So I wanted to make sure that these that I mentioned these. The top one, the Transportation Electrification Advisory Services through SDG&E. That's targeted at community-based organizations, helping them with marketing and outreach to fleet owners to try to get electrification moving forward. And then the other one there, which has a really elegant name of GFO 24605, is similar. It's technical assistance for electrification of vehicles. So again, those are closing soon, so I just wanted to make sure to mention those. And if you have any questions, I can try to help you dig up those answers, because those are external from APCD, but sort of related to the broader clean air mission. So next slide, please. So I want to give everybody the opportunity to get more information and stay informed on these programs. So we have two QR codes on the screen. The top one is our main grants page, and that'll have links to the Moira program, AB 617 program, and some other smaller programs that we run for incentive funding, and it has some of the more specific details that I kind of talked at a high level about during this presentation. And then the bottom QR code there is to sign up for email alerts. I'm obviously talking about grants and incentive funding here, so that when we open our solicitation for applications, that those you get an email alert when that application opens. But we have all sorts of other information and services that APCD provides. And some specific ones I figured I'd mention were smoke watch advisories with all the fire stuff going on lately, as well as the Tijuana River Valley updates, of course. But like I said, there's a lot more under the email alerts category. So if you're interested, take a look and see if there's anything that might pertain to you and your work and your concerns. Next slide, please. So as I've mentioned a couple of times, really, we want to encourage people to apply. We need your help getting the word out about this funding. So these are kind of the 3 points here. If you have an eligible project, please apply. If you have questions about your project, whether it's eligible, what type of funding it could get, please reach out to myself or my team. I have my email address there on the slide, as well as our general grants email inbox. And those are both checked every day. And then if you know any potential applicants, help us get in touch with them so that we can talk with them about what their projects are, what type of application, or how to fill out the application, all those kinds of things. We really want to partner with the steering committee here to prioritize, like I said, the topics and project categories that we talked about, participatory budgeting. And we need as much help as we can get, letting people know that these funds are available. So that is the end of my presentation, but I'm here for questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Kevin, thanks so much.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
I have a question
Yeah.
regarding the funds that you have, like for the sidewalks. Would San Isidro qualify for some of those funds to fix some of the sidewalks and probably the lighting, because there's also some areas that needs to be fixed? Would that apply?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, first of all, San Isidro is within our AB617 border. San Isidro and Otay Mesa are the two neighborhoods, regions that are part of the international border community designated by the AB617 program. So location-wise, yes. Just for a little bit of clarity, we at the Air Pollution Control District don't perform the projects. We provide the funding to do the projects. So you'd want to partner. For example, the city of San Isidro might be in charge of those sidewalks. You'd want to find out who is actually in charge of maintaining those sidewalks, and if they want to apply for funding, then we could kind of go through it that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
of course.
Yeah. Any more questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or drop them in the chat as well. Give it another minute just for folks if they have any questions. And you can always reach out to us after the fact. Kevin's information's here, and then our information in the OEJ team.
And I'll go ahead and put those email addresses in the chat too, so that when we move off of this slide, that they're still there.
I got them in there for you. There, you're good.
Thanks.
All right. Well, it seems like we don't have any questions right now, but as you think on it, please reach out. So, and thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. And
thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
And David Soderman's just sharing the boundary of the international border community for folks' reference if they want to look. Thank you, David. Yeah. Wonderful. Alrighty, so we really quickly moved through things tonight. We're very efficient. Right now we have time. If there are any updates from community members, also questions or anything that's come up, feel free. You can unmute yourself. You can drop them in the chat. Whatever works best. Okay. I'm not seeing anything. I'm gonna make sure I don't miss anything. The next meeting will be online. Yeah, March 19th. We'll be online again. And we will share that that information's on our website as well. I'll make sure to keep that updated if anything should change, and also email out. But yeah, that one will be online. And then, oh, my computer wants to restart, but I'm going to ignore that for right now. Alrighty. And then I know that one update, Shalem is not here with us this evening. They are going to be leaving the air district, but of course we'll still be. I know that they shared that information with everybody, and so please, if you would like to stay in touch, reach out to Shalem in the next few weeks with the email you currently have, because it will be changing. And we'll miss them very much. So I think that's it. I don't see any other questions or comments. Thanks to all of our presenters. Thanks to everybody. We will get out notes in the next week and include all the resources that were shared tonight. As always, feel free to reach out with questions, concerns, comments.
Hi,
Let us know.
Lauren. It's
Hi.
Jenny. I
Hi.
wanted to make a quick announcement.
Oh yeah, please.
Thank you. So, Casa Familiar has like these prep meetings for San Isidro IBCSE community members. So we meet the day before each IBCSE meeting, and so we discuss the agenda, and I'll help people like work on their questions for like these meetings, so they can be better prepared to participate. So yeah, just wanted to let you know and let the community know if they're interested to send me an email, and I'll put my email here.
Perfect. And we'll be sure to share that in the notes as well. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for folks who can join. So definitely reach out to Janie if you can. All right. Anybody else? Okay, I think that concludes our meeting. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. And thanks for all the great information and questions and feedback. It's always very helpful. Okay, wonderful. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks
Buenas
all.
noches.
Take
Night.
care.
Thank you so much. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
Buenas
you.
noches, gracias.
Buenas noches. Thank you. Good night.
Buenas
Thank-
noches.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
Good night.
Gracias.
Same
Good
to
night.
you.
Thank you.
Night.
Buenas noches, gracias. Que tengan excelente descanso.
Gracias. Buenas
Thank
noches.
you.
Bye.
Buenas
noches.
noches,
Take
bye,
care.
bye.
Bye. Have a good night. Buenas noches. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.